what you want, when you want it, where you want it. This is The Mesh.
That's a classic.
Don't look, though. He just looked.
Yeah, there it is. You know that sound. You spent hours getting your meat ready for the smoker. Time to crack a coal and sit back and let the smoke do its thing. Maybe you enjoy that Carolina craft beer at the end of a day spent serving up family and friends. Cold beer with your barbecue? Maybe, if that's your thing, I guess. Well, it's going to be our thing on this episode of the Low and Slow Barbecue Show. I'm Chigger Willard. I'm excited to have in the Mesh.tv studios the team from Three Beers Down, Josh Elder, Matt Everly, Luke Sears. Welcome to the Low and Slow Barbecue Show, gentlemen.
Oh, hey, thanks for having us.
Yeah.
This is our first crossover event, if you will, right?
It's my first crossover. No, that's not true. We've had crossover broadcasts with Man Cave Meals, but our first crossover event that actually involves food in
and beer?
The building.
Food and beer.
And beer in the building.
We're breaking all the rules inside.
That's right.
The Mesh Studios.
Hey, y'all are special guests. We made it a special day, as we said. In addition to these guests we've got in the room, you smell it, you see it on the table. That's barbecue from JD's Smokehouse in Conley Springs. What some people would argue is the best barbecue in the Hickory Metro. People might argue about that, and we can if you want to later on. We're going to be enjoying pork, brisket, chicken from JD, as well as some of their Eastern and Western sauces. I think there may be some sides somewhere, too, if they escape the mitts of Mr. Moose in the production studio. But also, importantly, the real reason we're here with the barbecue and the Three Beers Down bunch, we're here for the beer.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
I admit it. I wanted to have a podcast and drink beer. So
Yeah.
here we are, guys. I invited Three Beers Down. Bring beer and get their advice on the best beer to drink with all the great barbecue. The best beer you can find in the Carolinas. Three Beers Down is going to face the Low and Slow Beer Showdown. We're going to get the lowdown about making beer, drinking beer, podcasting about beer. And, of course, it wouldn't be a Low and Slow Barbecue Show without a recipe, right? You brought the recipe? Got the details there. Three Beers Down, specifically Luke, has provided us a beer recipe. You can get that recipe at the Low and Slow Barbecue Show blog. Find it at lowslowbbqshow.com. You'll also find recipes from other podcasts, other episodes. Check out, guys, if you haven't, the Low and Slow Goes Indo episode with Ryan Nanny from Shutdown Fullcast, the only college football podcast in the galaxy. He's got some great tips about indoor barbecue and college tailgates. And before we get to you guys again and the slowdown from Three Beers Down, special thanks to sponsors The Hum tonight. The Hum, that's right. They're Hickory's own outdoor amphitheater and event space located a short walking distance from downtown Hickory. Yes, folks, the 2023 concert season is right around the corner. For more information and tickets to upcoming shows, visit thehum.live.
Matter of fact, hey, just real quick, I went to the hum.live today. I'm eagerly awaiting that schedule.
The upcoming
drop, you know
season,
what I mean?
right? Absolutely.
Yeah, so fun time. I must say
Anytime,
that's a blast.
the updates are coming soon, and I don't want to let any cats out of the bag, but you're going to want to be humming when you
That's
go.
right. Can't wait.
It will be a hummer of a good time.
It'll be a humdinger.
That's right, at the hum. .live. So now to you guys, welcome to the broadcast. Josh, Matt, and Luke here. Tell us a little bit about the backstory on the Three Beers Down. Who wants to step up? Josh, I'll pitch it to you and let you throw it from there.
All right. Well, sure. I'll crank us up here. I guess you will. As you're familiar, and if folks who are listening haven't tuned into our podcast, Chigger Willard has been a guest several times on our podcast, so I feel like we're familiar with each other, one another, if you will. We started, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago podcasting, and how it came about was I remember the night it came about. We were in Matt's kitchen, and Luke was like, man, we should do a show of some sort, like, YouTube show, whatever the case may be, about stuff. And we were all like talking around, and we're like, well, why not beer? We all love beer. Let's talk about beer. We like having fun. And I remember that night, too. It was like Three Beers Down.
We like to hear ourselves talk.
We laugh. We think we're funny. And we're 71 episodes deep. And so, I would honestly say it's a blast every time we get together. So I'll turn it over to these guys.
We found ourselves a lot of times, we just sit around, we'd have some beer and food, very similar to what we're doing now. And we decided to record it. So
Yeah. talk about it.
So that's it.
That's it.
You think it's fun? You think you're funny? It's fun and funny when you're together, and it gets fun and funnier when you're drinking more beers, right?
Well,
Pretty
That's the
much.
secret. Drinking more beer makes us funny. But I will say it's funny. Listen to us on the next day or a couple of days after, and our wives think we're kind of funny. Some of our friends, but
Yeah, so how did you stumble across the beer? That was just kind of a niche you wanted to fill, or did you think that much about it, or you just thought we like beer?
We were all in the craft beer scene.
Yeah.
Luke brewed a lot. I work for craft breweries, do labels and marketing and that kind of stuff. And Josh drinks a lot.
I drink.
But we're always talking about
He's
it.
our resident sampler as well.
Yeah, that's all I bring to the podcast. is
Right.
I drink the beer. They're certainly the experts, if you will. But
Right, so that's a little bit about the roles of the podcast. Tell me more about that. You drink the beer, but beyond that, how else when it gets down to the producing of the Three Beers Down,
Oh, man.
who does what in the show?
so we're self-produced. We don't have this fancy, setup here with your own producer, like you said, Mr. Andrew Moose. But we do it. We started in the tiny office.
Yeah,
in
so
Luke's
we have-
house.
Yes, we pretty much share all the responsibilities. So we just get together, talk about what we're going to do, how we're going to do things. We split all the responsibilities with the social media, with everything like that. So it's kind of a
So, like I said, we started in the tiny office, moved to Luke's basement. Now we do it in a little room in my house. And yeah, if people want to follow us, by the way, at Three Beers Down Pod
On the
Instagram
Instas,
and the Twitters and the Facebooks,
Yeah, definitely.
social medias, and also at threebeersdown.com.
So in each episode, you bring three beers, and who decides the beers? Do you have a concept or an idea? You just kind of come out of the blue with what haven't we tried?
We started with just one beer each time. Probably the first 20 episodes were just one beer, and then we were like, why don't we just bring some more beer, man? Our name's Three Beers Down. So we do, but sometimes we'll do 4 beers or 2 beers, or if we're at Lost Province, we did 12 beers.
Yeah, on
So,
location.
yeah.
We've gone on location before, and as you again, speaking of you, sometimes when we have a guest, we say, "Hey, guest, bring the beer that we're going to drink this evening." And so that's the best part, when the guests bring the beer. And
Right on. Well, how about when you're the host and you bring the food?
yeah, that's true. We should have brought the food, I guess, tonight, right?
Well, next time, just keep in mind when I'm a guest there. I
You
brought
may
the
not
food. Here
want
I
me
am,
to
and
bring
I
my
brought the
barbecue.
food.
That's the only problem.
That is the
Okay,
problem.
I didn't
yeah.
bring mine.
I
I
can't
just brought
compete
the
with JD's. I'm
plans.
going to tell you that right now.
That's right. Well, so what about the name? Where did Three Beers Down come from?
It was 3 guys. I mean, we had a bunch of names in our mind.
I wish we would have saved some of them. I
Yeah.
don't remember any of them, but 3 guys, 3 beers. By the end of the night, we're all laying down, probably.
No, just
Yeah, this is not a
Not
it was-
together,
we
but-
didn't really put a whole lot of it was not something magical. We just kind of came up with it.
I will say one that was a close a runner up. Yeah, Adventures in Manhood was going to be one of them.
And then that kind of we I guess took
You
the
would
focus
have
to
lost
beer.
your beer niche.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you credit where it's due, of course. That I caught a little bit of inspiration seeing what you did when I kind of came up with the concept here for the Low and Slow Barbecue Show. I feel like I've tried to see what you've done and try to evolve into what I'm able to do, which is a little bit more the writing side, I think. And I think again, I appreciate you guys as groundbreakers in podcast world. 4 seasons, you said 71 episodes.
Yeah.
Haven't done it
even
for I guess this is the 2nd season officially of the Low and Slow Barbecue Show. That takes a lot of commitment. So credit
does,
to you for
yes.
doing that.
Whether you have a family and it's not your real job, it does.
Right.
It takes a little bit.
yeah.
What helps when you drink beer?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. And it'll help tonight since we're going to have some barbecue. So speaking of the beer, what are you guys' favorite beer out there in the world?
Mine's a Guinness. Just the classic,
Guinness, pure and simple, right?
pure and simple.
Okay.
Yep.
Matt?
I think I'm an IPA guy, or a sour guy, or a barrel aged guy.
Yeah,
So,
nothing in specific, or it just kind of depends on the weather or the mood, or as we're talking about tonight,
maybe what
do
you're
you
eating.
got?
Yeah. What
okay.
pairs well. Yeah. Josh.
I've said this before. My favorite beer is the next beer.
the next beer, right?
No, honestly, any cold beer. I'm a big hazy IPA guy, as you'll see. I've brought that tonight to. Well, I shouldn't have given that away, probably, right? But that's what I lean toward, to gravitate toward, if you will, like at any bar or brewery. So,
Right on. Very good. So, Luke, you mentioned that. That makes a nice segue. You like to drink a Guinness. That was a recipe that you shared with us. And,
Yeah.
and the beering process isn't so much a low temperature kind of situation, but it is pretty slow, right? So tell me how you feel like maybe the beer production compares with barbecue. You're at least familiar enough with barbecue to know all that takes.
These guys will tell you I love a good process.
Right, okay.
So, beer brewing is definitely a process. So, I started about, I guess, 20 years ago.
Okay.
Doing this off
Yeah.
and on. And,
he was 6.
yeah. No, so a guy from one of my buddies of mine for our wedding gave me a beer making kit.
Yeah.
So I tried it, and of course it was just, it turned out to be more cider than beer, almost vinegar that
Right.
first run. But over time, you just kind of,
And after that first kit, you thought, I could do better than this.
Yeah,
Or, you know,
you just try to do better.
Try
you
again.
quit.
Yeah.
You said, that's for the birds. I don't like that. You
Yeah,
kicked
so
after it.
yeah, basically. But
I w-
beer is simple. The barley water, hops, yeast. Put those together. Have a good process to go with it. And about a couple of months later, you have some good beer to drink. So.
However, I will say this: you say it's simple, but if I were to do it right now, I would certainly screw it up. And
I know,
it
we've-
would turn into something. It might be alcoholic, but it might turn into something. And we've even done that before.
We've
We
been
thought it
his
was gonna
assistant
be-
brewers
yeah.
many
Oh, yeah.
times.
Yeah.
It's
Stirred
not
the
the kind
powder.
of thing that you can really turn out in a couple hours' time, right? We
Right.
couldn't, I could go to the grocery store and produce something fairly quickly and enjoy it in the barbecue realm, even low and slow, but you can't really do that producing beer. It's a lot more slow.
Yeah. So it takes about 4 hours.
4 hours to get, that's the maximum,
Yeah.
I guess, the fastest you can turn it.
That's
Well-
about the fastest you can produce it.
But
yeah.
by the time you drink it, it's several weeks, though. So
Yeah,
you
so-
talking about that process.
Do you want me to go through the whole process? I mean, how
You don't
in
have
depth
go
do you
into
want
all
to
the
go?
details. We'll save a little bit of that
Yes,
for
we
the
can-
secret time.
Yeah, so
Secrets.
yeah, so basically secret sauce. But yeah, so basically it's about a 4-hour process, the brewing process. Then you have to go through fermentation, which takes another couple weeks to a month,
Depending on
what type of beer it is. And then if
Okay.
you want to age it, you can also age it and all kinds of things.
So what's the hardest part of that to you?
Temperature is the hardest part
Yeah.
because through every part of the process, you have to maintain certain temperatures. So when you're mashing, that's when you extract all the sugar from the grain. You want to make sure that you're at a good temperature for that. Then fermentation, you have to be at a specific temperature because any temperature change that you have changes the profile of the beer. So, you don't have to worry about temperature, but if you're trying to produce a certain style of beer or certain flavors and whatnot,
right.
then that is probably the biggest control point.
Also, a lot like smoking meat low and slow.
That's
really
exactly
preparing
right.
any kind of food, I guess.
Yep.
But it's a little bit more specific in terms of that temperature level, reaching it whether it's going to be good or garbage.
That's right. Yeah.
Right on. So, what's the garbage stuff you've made?
Well,
Garbage.
okay, so I'll go this. So
What's the
Matt
most
knows-
garbagey?
So Matt and I were trying to do a Oktoberfest style beer,
Yeah.
which is basically it's a kind of a brown ale. It's real malty, but you ferment it at lower temperatures. Well, that turned into we've got some kind of bacteria infection in the
Whoa.
fermentation.
Whoa.
So when we cracked it open, it was pretty much a sour Marzen is what
Yeah.
we ended up calling it.
Yeah, that's
Matt,
what we call
Matt
it.
drank the hell.
Matt drank
Can
the
I
hell-
say- I'm sorry, Coach. What kind of podcast is this? Can I curse?
You could say that.
I said Matt drank the heck out of that beer too. Though he's like, I love that. Sour.
Oh,
Yeah.
after it sat for like we let it sit for a month, and then I tried it again at 3 months, and then maybe 6 months, and maybe a year or two later. But after that, it was. I thought it was delicious. It was like a oud brune, like basically a sour brown.
It was
That's
not
what it
that
was.
good.
Hey, we have a mantra though. We brew it, we drink it.
Yes.
I did drink
even the
some of it.
garbage
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. So, what's the best stuff you made?
Probably a Saison years ago.
Okay.
I made one. They turned out really, really well. So
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to shift gears here. You've got the recipe, and I'll share it online, and we may talk about that. It did not look anything like the recipes that I see, and how to make my barbecue meat. But at that point, it was confusing enough that I said, moving on to barbecue. What is for you guys the ideal barbecue dining experience? So, like your favorite meat and sides
well.
and beverage.
I can say for me, a lot of it is the place itself. The best barbecue place.
Right,
I'm
okay.
gonna make a shout out here.
Yeah.
So we used to live down in Greenville, North Carolina. Where the best barbecue, some of the best barbecue I've ever had was
No
at
doubt, yeah.
Bee's Barbecue.
Okay.
It was a dilapidated cinder block building. And when you walked in, they had sign, "Don't step here" on the floors because you may fall through the floor. Out back, they had it was a cinder block building that had like a gap between the walls and the ceiling. And that was the Smokehouse.
Right,
It was just
yeah.
an old place. But
Yeah.
it was some of the best barbecue. And, Eastern barbecue is whole hog, barbecue. But if you got there early enough, you could get the ribs. And you had to order them we're talking like 6 a.m. You had to get there when they got there.
Yeah.
Just to get on the list.
Wow.
But they would sell out every day before noon. Like if you weren't in line by 10, you weren't going to eat anything. I don't know if it's still that way. That's been years ago, but that's hands down the best, and that's a vinegar base.
No reason it shouldn't be just like that. What about you, Matt?
So I have a memory I'll share kind of similar, but when we lived in Chapel Hill, there was a place called Pantana Bob's, just a bar on right off Franklin Street, and they would do, and this is a long time ago, but they would bring in a whole hog, and you would just pick it. It was literally a pig picking. Every Friday night, you would just pick whatever part you wanted. It was a full spread, and you had tongs, and you got to pull it right from where you want it. And there was people there that was like, "Oh, I like this part," or "I like that part," and it was so good. I think the guy did it like at home, like the night before, and would always bring it. But it was free too. I mean, that's probably the best kind of
no
barbecue.
liability, right?
Yeah, no, probably.
You get sick, it's on you.
But yeah,
But you're right. Both of those examples, and of course, Josh, in just a moment, those are like the traditional down home. They've stood the test of time. They've been there for generations. There's a reason that people would be lined up and it would be gone before 10 o'clock, right?
Oh, yeah.
Josh, what about
And
you?
I'm kind of sad. I don't have a barbecue experience or memory. I mean, my best experience is if I sit down at a table and somebody brings me a plate of good old barbecue.
When it shows up,
yeah.
what do you want to be on the plate?
I'm a sandwich guy. Like I like I like it on a bun. Give me some good mac and cheese, and either like crispy, potatoes, hash browns, or something, or a vegetable or something. Yeah.
sounds like we're all pork guys. Though.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Oh no, I like a good brisket. Now I've been to, so I got family in Dallas, Texas.
Yeah,
and
okay.
we went to a couple of places there, and the brisket out there is
It
unbelievable.
is. It wouldn't be the first time that's been uttered in this room or in this podcast, and for good reason, of course. And that makes a good segue for us because we've got some of those reminiscent times. We can meet the meat now, which is a part of our podcast, and that's JD Smokehouse. Again, we brought pork and chicken, and we bought also some brisket, and there's baked beans, jalapeno grits, slaw, green bean casserole, and sweet potatoes. And if you want some, there's some bread too. I got the rolls. I think we're probably going to start with the chicken. And Josh, we've invited you along to be the master of what would be a good pairing with chicken. And as you pour around this, and actually I'll try to help serve around this. I want you guys to tell me a little bit about the secret beer that I've shared with you from the fine establishment of the Willard home.
Oh,
That
Can we look? Can we take a peek yet?
Well,
Or
I'll-
Don't
wanna-
take a peek. I want
Okay.
I want you to look at it and make an assumption or a guess on what you think it could be, and your opinion of this fine reserve.
reserve?
I will say this: when I took a sip, the first thought I had was Bush. That's what went through my mind.
Okay, yeah.
So I don't know if I'm close, but that's what that was
classic taste
what
for sure.
it was
I
a
mean,
classic.
I don't have.
It was a classic beer. I know it's
I
a
know
classic. I don't know
I know
what
it's
it is.
something like that, but I feel like it's a lot lighter.
What about you, Josh?
Like I said, sorry, I got a mouthful of chicken. Was I supposed to eat?
Well,
Or wait,
no, we're all going to get a little bit of JD's Smokehouse chicken here.
Yeah.
And you've got options of the Eastern style or the Western style sauce, so we can sample each one of those. Or what I thought we might do is sample a little bit of the beer and the chicken, and we could all sort of experience the mouthfeel.
yeah. So I have
This beer.
It's one of my
But
favorite
before
words.
we do that, I need to conclude this talk about this very.
Well, I have no
special
clue
select
on what that
beverage.
special secret beer is. But like a woman, I want to undress it from the koozie you have there just to see. Right, you're driving me crazy over here with your descriptions. So.
Well, I think this is a beer that can go with any occasion. Most certainly on a hot, sunny day in the spring or the summertime when you're out and you're cooking that meat all day long and it's hot and sweltering by the grill, or maybe at the end of the day, like I said, it's been a long day and it's cool and refreshing and it's good for every occasion.
I knew it was
There it
lighter.
is.
Natty
Anheuser-Busch's
Light.
own Natural Light.
I was close. You're
Pretty close.
Bush is not too far.
Yeah.
It's very similar in flavor, but that is it's delicious.
If
You
you
know,
haven't
yeah.
finished all your Natural Light, you can set it to the side. That's a nice palate cleanser.
I knocked it back. That's true. That is
And
a
you
good
can
one.
move on to, let's have Josh's beer. Josh,
So-
first tell us, introduce what you've got here, and, we'll try it with the chicken. And if
Okay.
you want some sauce, let me know.
Yeah.
But,
So I brought a hazy IPA from my favorite brewery in the state and probably in the nation, Lost Province out of Boone. I brought What's Up Bro. It's a New England hazy IPA, and I think, and Matt and Luke may say the same thing. If you look across even the internet, ask some brewers around here, everybody may differ on the perfect beer for any food, but to me, I like chicken. I like maybe a crispy type of chicken, maybe some salty chicken, and to me, the citrusy flavor of a hazy IPA really brings out the flavors of both the chicken and any of the sides you might have with it. Like I said, some crispy vegetables or crispy potatoes. So.
Nice, very good.
You
Great
tell me. I
analysis
don't know if
there.
that's,
So you guys try the chicken. I'll take a moment, and I'm going to do the same thing here. I try the chicken.
I feel like an IPA is probably goes with anything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, meat or vegetables or whatever, but it does help to have a really great IPA. I mean, it's instead of like a I don't know, run of the mill type thing, but it's good.
Well, and side note too,
I like it.
And I was looking at this too, but as I was researching for your podcast, but when you eat something really spicy, they actually say citrusy type either foods or drinks will actually cut some of the spice away, and so a lot of times people will squeeze lemon or lime on spicy foods, and that cuts some of the spice off. So if you're ever at like a Mexican restaurant or somewhere and it's really spicy, take a sip of a hazy IPA because that citrus will really cut down that spice. So, so yeah, you got any like heat and sweet sauce or anything, or some spicy
So we have
stuff?
the vinegar sauce,
Yeah.
as well as that's what they call their sweet sauce, and the spicy is with the brisket.
Okay.
Which you're welcome to having. So what are you guys' thoughts about the chicken?
So
It's delicious.
the biggest thing is that with white meat like this, it's really difficult not for it to dry out. So kudos to JD's for a moist, delicious piece of smoked chicken. Because
Yeah, and it seems like it's white meat too. Like
that's breast meat. That's
yeah.
good stuff.
And back to your question about your best plate of barbecue, I would much rather have some diced or some pulled chicken on a sandwich than actually
Than the pulled
barbecue.
pork?
So
What?
I'm afraid if I say
Oh,
that
my
out
gosh.
loud, which I just did, y'all might get mad at me. But
I don't know that I'll go there.
but I don't know. It's good.
Yeah.
Well, it's a question that we'll get to.
We'll change my mind here. We'll
that
taste
is
some
it.
others.
Someone passed the vinegar.
Yeah, so as far as the sauces go, what they're calling their Eastern style is, a fairly traditional Eastern style, and the Western's much thicker. I would say that it is in need of a spoon to dip both of them are, but it's not so much the Lexington style. I think that you mentioned the Greenville flavor, what they call their Eastern style. That's a little bit darker than what you probably found in Greenville, right?
Yeah, in Greenville or down east, their sauce is, I mean, it's nearly clear. It's got the pepper flakes, brown sugar.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can. It's got a little heat in it. And for the most part, I would say most of the barbecue sauce down there does have a little heat in it. But yeah, this is really good.
I love
Yeah,
that sweet and tangy, whatever you call it, the tomato-based sauce more. I'll go more toward that, right?
Some vinegar based. I don't know what it is about the. Well, I like vinegar style. I love pickles, kimchi, anything fermented. So,
But yet you didn't like our sour marzen, so
well, that was an infection.
You should have called it Eastern style.
That was a sickly beer.
That's right. It's the branding. Y'all branded it wrong.
We branded it
Yeah, they
wrong,
just
yes.
branded it with that Eastern style.
Eastern
Yeah, fantastic.
Oktoberfest.
That's a great start here. So I think we're going to take a moment now that we finished the chicken round.
good.
We're going to go on to pairing up the pork round. Before we do that, we're going to take a quick break. Again, coming up, we'll meet more beer and more barbecue. We've got barbecue and beer 101, the Low and Slow Barbecue Showdown. Stay tuned for more after the break.
This episode of the Low and Slow Barbecue Show is brought to you by our friends at The Hum, Hickory, North Carolina's own outdoor amphitheater and event space located a short walking distance from the center of downtown Hickory. Yes, folks, the 2023 concert season is right around the corner. For more information, show announcements, and tickets to upcoming shows, visit thehum.live. We'll see you at a show soon.
Welcome back to the Low and Slow Barbecue Show with our guest today, Three Beers Down. That's Josh Elder, Matt Everly, and Luke Sears. I'm Chigger Willard, and we're getting ready to taste our next barbecue and beer pairing. During the break, we've gotten into these sides. Oh, man, they're fantastic. Well, we're getting up the next pairing, and I do again want to give thanks to our sponsor today, The Hum. That's the Hum, Hickory's own outdoor amphitheater and event space located a short walking distance from downtown. Yep, the 2023 concert season is right around the corner. For more information and tickets to upcoming shows, visit thehum.live. And as we talked about it, guys, it's a good time there in downtown Hickory. They've always got good beer and sometimes good barbecue. Big Bird Smokehouse, a past guest here, has been there on the lineup there at the Hum. So always a good time there.
It was a fun time.
Yeah, enjoy seeing them. And now, before we get into meeting the pork, and I know Luke, you're the pork professional, and when it comes to pairing your pork with your beer, let's talk about these sides. So we've got green bean casserole, we've got sweet potato casserole. I think there were some grits, but they were gone very quickly. I couldn't help but notice. So what's the? Nobody got into the baked beans. Was that just because nobody saw the baked beans, or somehow like a magic rabbit? I've got
We'll
an
totally
endless
get-
supply of spoons in this cooler over here. But so, any thoughts on the sides?
The jalapeno grits. That's where it's at, man. Those grits are awesome.
yeah, the sweet potato is like it's like dessert. Sweet potato casserole.
Yeah, I think that definitely by far and above, the cheese grits are one that everybody talks about, because not everybody makes cheese grits,
Yeah.
jalapeno cheese grits. Everybody may try to do some of these other things, and it's hard to do some of these other things right, and they do a good job. The sweet potato casserole is really cool, and as with anything, I've gotten these takeout. They're really good from the takeout, but it's always just so much better right hot out of the kitchen, hot to your plate.
Well, I will say this. You could probably do an entire episode on slaw with barbecue.
Right.
Whether you do the white slaw or the red slaw. Mm-hmm. But for me, it's always the red slaw, and that's good.
Always the red
That's
sauce.
good.
I'm opposite. I'm always the white slaw, so I'll try this.
Really on your barbecue.
Yeah.
Oh, it's good.
I like it on a hot dog for sure. I could go either way, but on my pork barbecue, I'm with you. I want red slaw. Josh, your thoughts on the sides that we've got here?
All delicious, and probably the grits were my favorite. I'm sorry you joked on me. I took probably a little too many, but there's some left.
I got a pound's worth of, because the grits are the most. I got only an 8-ounce serving of the other varieties. Which, by the way, you can easily go in and order 8-ounce servings, full pound sizes of meat in bulk. And guys, I walked in there and ordered it at the door on Thursday. In 10 minutes, I was out the door with a wad full of barbecue.
And I would say for our vegetarian friends, if there are any that listen to the show, you could survive just on their sides, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Although they probably cook them with a little side of hog jaw or something in there, right? Who knows?
Pork with a side of slaw, with a side of sweet potatoes. Sounds like
I could eat a pound of the slaw.
Yeah.
That red slaw is really good. And you know what's interesting is that, when you compare barbecue from, here at the more of the western part of the state to the eastern part of the state. So here, you never see two things. And you never see Brunswick stew. It's rare. You do see it sometimes. And you don't see corn sticks. So down east they have it's basically deep fried cornbread, but it's in a like a long stick, almost like a pretzel stick. But every place has corn sticks.
Really?
And have cast iron pans back there in the east or something. That's how I eat my cornbread.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, but I mean they put it in it's like in a little stick.
Interesting. Now, there was not corn sticks on the menu that I recall, and I could be wrong. The menu is online for JD Smokehouse.
Yeah.
But they had Brunswick stew. And so that's what I see at some places around for sure. There is some controversy about the origination of Brunswick stew. I don't know if y'all are aware of that.
Brunswick
but there
County?
is some between North Carolina and Georgia and Virginia. And really the boldest claims, the strongest claims, probably Georgia. And that's another episode. In fact, it could be a blog. In fact, look at the Low Slow Barbecue blog at lowslowbbqshow.com, because we got a blog coming up soon about Brunswick stew. But again, that's something you see on the menu at barbecue. Where did it come from? If you even know.
I don't know.
Yeah, I have no
Brunswick.
idea.
No,
I would say Brunswick County.
but
Yeah, that's the only thing.
I'm sure that's, who knows. There's probably a Brunswick, England, and it probably came from there. Let's be honest.
Right. That's a good part of the history. The two people, those two places in Virginia and Georgia were settled by the same people that were the house of. Look it up on the blog.
I think the families of Brunn and Swick married and came together, and the two, people they
it
came
was
up with
the
their
House
stew.
of Hanover, I think, the Earl of Brunswick. I believe was closer, but don't quote me on the titles. Quote me, Luke, on what you have brought me to go with the pork barbecue tonight. Again, we brought chopped pork barbecue from JD Smokehouse, and you have a beer to pair perfectly with it. And I don't know about the pairing, but the beer is pretty good.
Yeah, so what this is Saison du Lit. I think that's a really bad French pronunciation of it, but it's a Saison, and it's brewed with chamomile flowers. This comes out of from Perennial Artesian Ales out of St. Louis, Missouri. So the thing with a Saison that I thought would pair well with pork, it's like normally with any kind of pork dish, pork is a rich, savory type meat. So a Saison normally has it's a little bit lower in alcohol. It's a little tart, and it's going to have a dry finish to it. Because pork is always, especially with barbecue, you have that richness to it.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So a drier beer,
Yeah.
I thought would pair well with it. And I'll have to say, the Natty Light might be as good.
Yeah, definitely a light pair.
Well, I
but
think-
you're right. And can I have some more?
Yes, sir. You need. I think with pork, you need something light, and you need something that is very drinkable that you can drink massive quantities of, like water. Because you're gonna have some pork, and you're gonna have some beer.
You don't want to get bloated and loaded with a stout or
That's right.
something heavy duty. Maybe even not, the double IPAs in a day full of pork barbecue and a night full of meat sweats.
That's right. But what's great about this is that it ends with a little bit of a floral note to it, and it just kind of clears the palate as you go back for another bite.
So, what do you guys think about the pairing of Luke's selection and the pork barbecue? Josh, you've enjoyed it. Now, we'll get to the beef soon. I promise,
Yeah,
big boy.
enjoyed the barbecue.
There is
everything
more food.
sides. The only question is St. Louis. What do they know about beer and barbecue pairing? That's what I have to question that.
They've got the
pairing.
beer.
No, I'm kidding.
They've got the beer,
I know,
right?
it is. The beer's good. I'm just messing with them. They're not listening, most likely. But no, yeah, very light beer. Because I was thinking when you were saying you're going to eat massive amount. If you're at a pig picking, for example, and not at a restaurant, you're going back several times, and you're going to have probably a salty rub on that barbecue. You're going to want to keep drinking regardless what it is. And like you said, something light and refreshing. It'll just
You want something light, and you want something with lots of carbonation in it, and you want something that's dry.
yeah.
Because if you had a beer that lingered, if you had a lingering mouthfeel of a beer with pork, I don't think that would pair too well. But something that dries it up and it makes you want to have another bite of pork and have another sip of beer and just rinse and repeat over and over again.
Makes for a
I
good
think
day.
that's a good day.
Speaking of a good day, how do you feel like a day with JD's pork barbecue would be? What are your thoughts on the barbecue we brought today?
Barbecue's great.
Dude, it's
the pork,
awesome.
The pork
Yeah.
specifically.
Pork's
Yeah,
good.
it melts in your mouth.
As good as the chicken?
Oh, it's way better, I think.
Yeah, I think the pork is a little bit better. Well, but I think that's just a matter of opinion too. I mean, I prefer pork over chicken if I'm going to eat barbecue.
Well, like you can taste the smoke in the barbecue more than the chicken, but it's not like overpowering smoke. It's just like, a hint.
a good
of-
level.
Yeah, it's a good level.
That's how it's prepared, I guess, right? I mean, that's certainly.
But I didn't taste that much smoke from the chicken. Now the chicken was delicious too, but I don't feel like it was,
You get a good
as
tasting of it without the sauces and the slaw and the
yeah. So I tasted it without it first.
Josh,
yeah.
what do you think?
I mean, honestly, I like it all. I've never met a food I don't like except two.
His barbecue is the next barbecue.
His favorite barbecue is the next plate of barbecue. Yeah.
Like the next beer, my favorite beer is the next beer. I think I've heard that here already in the podcast.
But from a health standpoint, if you're looking for trying to watch your weight or something, maybe you go with chicken over pork. Chicken is the other white meat.
I'm going to weigh in my vote behind the chicken, and it's just for what Luke said from the top of our chicken review, and that was the moistness of it. And they do a nice job. It's very easy to dry out. We got some tips from Sweet Lou's Barbecue, Lewis Donald, at the previous episode. You have to check that out. Brine it in pickle juice, he says, so that can really help keep moisture in your. And I don't know that that's what JD's does, but their chicken breast was good. The pork was good. It was a little dry, I think, but once you start adding your Eastern style sauce and the slaw to it, it all makes for a nice sandwich, which is what you want with Eastern style a lot of times.
I'm a
I didn't even
douse mine
go
with
with
sauce,
whatever they're
for
calling
sure.
the Western
Yeah.
style. That's not really my cup of tea.
No, if it's got ketchup in it, I don't really.
Well, the Lexington style has ketchup, just not. It doesn't look like ketchup.
Yeah.
Like what that is. Again, a time and a place. The time is not now, and nor
Well, we
is
can
the
fight
place.
later because I like the tomatoey red sauce better.
Really, you
I like-
the,
yeah.
What I think, like the Kansas City style.
Well, and maybe
style.
I just talk junk about those Missourians over there, but
Maybe that's the place
where
you
it came
should
from.
go
I guess
and
more. Yeah,
stay.
yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever had Kansas City barbecue? Like
That's
legit, like
beef stuff, right there.
yeah, but they have pork and all kinds of stuff. I went to Kansas City and had some. I had to make a stop before I went to the airport to come back, and it was
Just for the barbecue.
yeah. And the place I went, I can't remember what it's called, but they had all kinds of trophies in their lobby. It was awesome. Like you walk in and all you see is like trophies in a room about this
Participation
size.
trophies, probably.
I mean, they were tall, dude. They were tall, but yeah, good stuff. Real good stuff.
I just got handed a serrated knife.
All right,
Down. We about to
Cut
get
you up
down
some-
on some briskets.
we'll go ahead and get this next
Cut you
beer
up some,
going too.
some beef. We've got the beef coming around, and Matt, I've been to a lot of those restaurants like that where they have the little league trophies from, when I was in little league, and I got them out of mom's closet. And boy, they sure looked tall when I was a little kid, but now they're not really as tall. As you might expect.
I will look that up for you
now,
guys.
if I could think about putting them on into the Ruby Tuesdays restaurant. No, of course that's not the barbecue joints that we're talking about. That's you think maybe they were barbecue judging? So we've got the beef brisket from JD's as well, and the sauce I think is nicely paired. It's supposed to be their hotter, spicier sauce, which may be a little bit closer to the Eastern style that Luke has brought for us here, or he's sung the
And I
praises
cheated.
of.
I took a bite of that brisket. Oh my gosh, that's
Good stuff.
It's good.
Well, JD's is highly rated on the brisket. As far as folks that, again, a lot of people like brisket in these parts. There are some people that think you should eat whole hog here, and that's fine. But JD's does get a lot of good rave reviews for their brisket. So that's your review. Obviously, it's rave from the outset.
Good stuff.
Wow.
That outer edge is just perfectly seared and
Yeah.
I thought you called it the elder edge. I was like, what? Some brisket or something.
The brisket's my favorite. Wow, that's good.
Now,
All right, I paired a sipper with it.
I'm wondering what you brought because I just took a sip and it's
I brought a sipping beer that I
That's
thought would
actually good,
complement.
Matt.
Yes, that would complement the brisket. So, speaking of a slow beer to be made, this is willetized from Lagunitas out in California. It's a coffee stout aged in rye oak barrels. So, imperial stout, no less. Big beer, big food, right? Gotta go.
Oh my gosh. Like a true podcast professional, you took up the microphone while my mouth was full. Because I'm with y'all. The brisket is really good.
The brisket is on point.
The edge is definitely the point where you want to get. The middle's good, but the edge is where it's at.
Yep.
And again, I think that their hot and spicy sauce is the best pair with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, that's good. And I've never had their brisket before. I've had the pork and the chicken, but I've never had the brisket. That's up there with just about anything I've had. I mean, you could stack that up with just about anything.
Yeah. Again, Big Birds has been a guest on the podcast, and he's proud of his brisket. I haven't had any of his brisket. His recipe's on the blog as well, but he would be challenged to beat this.
You didn't bring you some brisket on your show?
No, guys, I started to think out. I need to start by having people bring the barbecue, and funny how maybe people weren't really wanting to give me free barbecue, and the first time I made it.
I remember I heard a show with our buddy Jeff Osborne, and you're like, Jeff, so where's the barbecue? He was like, I didn't bring any. I remember that one. You were like,
and it's been all
what?
down. Well, it hadn't been downhill from there, but from that point, he set a precedent. And so today, in our second season of the Low and Slow Barbecue Show, I was hoping to start a new precedent, and that is that the guest brings something.
Okay. Well, bringing beer is a lot easier.
And I
because
got
like
some
that,
stickers for our guests.
All right.
I've got some barbecue here from JD's, and I've gotten this beer. So what do you guys? The beer is very good.
You like it? Josh made the
Anytime it's
the
aged
sourpuss
in some-
face over
what's
there.
it aged in what kind of barrel?
Rye oak barrel. So this is imperial stout. So willetized is like a yearly thing. This is this year's
Willardized?
2000
Like as in Chigger Willard? Willardized?
I like that. I like that.
It's actually I want to say it's JD Willett, Kentucky.
JD. Well,
Yeah.
there you go. How about that?
From Kentucky. Yeah, JD Willett.
Anytime it has that like cough syrupy flavor, I mean, it's
Oh, you think it's
a
cough
little
syrup?
off-putting for me, but
So I will say
I mean,
this.
I can't knock it.
This
I'm sorry.
this one, the reason I chose this one, so I've had this before. I had it this year, and I typically pick up a 4-pack of this. It's usually in a 4-pack or a 22. And I saw it this year, and I actually put one back from in the beer cellar, if you will. And but I had those 3, and I was like, man, it's so good. It's ready. It doesn't need to be aged. And then I bought another 4-pack, and these are my last 2. So I'm on the lookout for another 4-pack of this. Lowe's is out. I got it. This is the great thing about this beer. I got it at Lowe's.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't have to go to the brewery. I didn't have to go to a special bottle shop. I got it at the grocery store, which this is probably the best barrel aged beer you would get at a grocery store.
So
this
if you-
It's accessible.
yeah,
for a barbecue lover.
it totally is. Yeah,
If you take a bite of the barbecue and then take a sip of that beer,
it's good.
it's perfect.
Yeah.
It really is. That's a really good pairing.
So I will say that
with
the
barbecue.
coffee in the beer, they added coffee beans from a place out there in California, I think, or actually from Chicago. I will say I did read that, but that's got that little bit of bitter to it that like tames down the, that cough syrup. If
Dipped a piece of brisket in it.
oh yeah,
I mean,
so
if you
this-
dip, I mean, and
Here we go.
listen, I know that
new
might
thing.
sound weird.
That's not terrible. I'm gonna use this.
That's actually good.
Try that.
I'm gonna use this barrel aged stout as a
Pour it
little
over
bit
it.
of
That's
I'm
sauce.
telling you,
Look at
that is good.
We just
Let's
invented
see.
something here.
Take a bite of
yeah.
the barbecue and then a sip of beer, while you're chewing it up. That's where it's at.
It's not bad.
It's good.
As you talk about mixing things up, I'm going to mix it up here just a little bit. My next segue here. Do you feel like any of these beers that you've brought paired with the chicken, paired with the pork, could be cross-denominational? Do you feel like the Matt's beer, could it go with the chicken?
Ain't no way.
No. You're just
Although-
specific to the beef?
I will say it will go.
I feel like yours could go with the pork or the chicken. Could it go with the beef?
Totally.
I think it
Light
could.
enough that it
Totally,
could?
yeah.
I think I think any lighter beer that you have with anything that's as savory as any really slow cooked meat, you could pair a light beer with slow cooked meat, and I think you're going to be good.
Well, here's the thing about Matt's beer. I envision when I sip it and I eat a big old piece of brisket, that's like a King type beer where you either have a big leg of lamb or turkey leg, or you're in there and you're just like you said, getting meat sweats. You're drinking a heavy beer, so it's not for the faint of heart. I would say
Right.
that, but I mean it is good. I had a couple more sips and
It's
It's more on you. Like
Yeah.
the next sip is
Yeah.
better. Than,
It is. It's
better
right.
and
I'm
better.
telling you.
My favorite sip's going to be the next sip.
This is definitely a beer, Matt's beer, the coffee beer, that you would have to. For me, I'd have to drink it with a meal. Like I have to have some food with it,
yeah.
but to have it by
interesting.
itself,
Maybe that's what it was when I started.
Right.
I don't know that I
could
could drink it by myself.
Oh, I totally
By
can.
itself, but with food, I
And
could,
have.
I could
But
drink.
now your natural light
Natural
Goes
light.
with
I
is good
mean,
for all occasions.
it's all occasions.
I would say that's more of your prep beer, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you? I mean, that you could have 3 or 4 of those
It's
while
all
you're
day.
cooking.
cooking.
All
Yeah,
day beer.
yeah, it's all day beer. Yeah, for sure.
all day beer.
And then you go with the darker beers as you
Progress.
get ready to eat.
As it
That's
gets
kind of how I
darker,
do, anyways.
Your mind
during the
starts
night.
to get darker.
That's right.
And then at 2 a.m. you finish up with the natural lights.
Yeah. Oh, you go back. It's full circle for you.
With Tums. When you finish up with Tums, which again is really the question I've kind of been dancing around throughout the course of the evening. Would you ever really plan to go out and drink beer and barbecue and I'm going to go have a barbecue dinner and have me a beer with it, even if it's a natural light or one of these light beers?
I don't
beer
know.
and barbecue?
Yes.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know that I would. I mean,
when would you not have a beer with barbecue?
I don't. This is just a personal thing. I don't want what I'm drinking to interfere with what I'm eating.
Oh man.
So I usually choose water. If it's something that I'm really wanting to eat
And enjoy the flavor.
and enjoy the food, like barbecue and Indian food, like those things, I'm drinking water because I want to taste everything in there. So
There's a knee-jerk reaction when you go to a restaurant. I'm always going to generally order a beer or a drink. I'm going to have a beer. I'm going to have a beer with that. But if I go to the barbecue restaurant, and not many barbecue restaurants or joints or these 2 places you talked about earlier on, they probably didn't have beer there. They don't really sell beer at those places. I really don't think so. And I think there's also a digestion thing too, adding all that beer on top of all that pork or... I couldn't do a podcast with beer because I'd belch in the microphone the whole episode, just like I'm trying not to do tonight.
That's part of it.
Are
right?
you going to have beer and barbecue, Josh?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, why not?
That's what I'm saying.
Don't ask why.
He's giving you some
That's
reasons
why
why not. I'm going to, again, generally, I think I would probably go with water or sweet tea. A lot of people do that.
All right, let's
Yeah,
flip it around.
sweet.
Let's flip it around. Let's say you're smoking the barbecue at your house all day event. You got your buddies over there. It's a pig picking in front of the smoker. You're definitely drinking beer and wanting some barbecue later on.
Right.
At night,
Well, not
right?
everybody does that, but for me, that's part of the experience. And again, our producer Andrew Moose can appreciate some of that. That while you've got that smoking activity, you might be inclined to drink some
might get a
beer
little
all
bored if you're
along
just
the
sitting
way.
around,
That's part of the
smoking.
practice. You keep along with it. You do this. You go and have some beer, but that's not the same as eating the beer, eating the barbecue and having the beer with it.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So let's get back to back now that we've got a table full of empty plates and cluttered barbecue. And guys, I can't believe I've been keeping a timer here. We've eaten all this food in less than like 45 minutes. So we really pounded away. So I feel pretty good about keeping this ship moving along. I'm going to take it to Barbecue and Beer 101, which is our guest tip or one-of-a-kind practice. What's a simple everyday practice that every beer drinker should try to follow? Josh, I'll start with you.
Oh, I would say, and Matt's going to disagree with me, I know, but keep your beer cold. And I would say, since we're on a barbecue show,
All the beers.
keep your barbecue warm and your beer cold, and not vice versa, right? Nobody wants a warm beer, nobody wants cold barbecue. That's my secret. Keep it cold, fresh out of the fridge. Sometimes the freezer, if put it in a cold mug.
Yeah. Don't let it stay too long.
Now, Matt's going to say, no, the perfect beer sometimes can be 53 degrees.
52
But I
is what
want
I
it
was
like
going to say.
33 degrees. That's it.
Matt, your perfect tip. Your tip for a beer drinker.
Well, I will say I think the temperature is important as well as barbecue. I don't know if that's the takeaway, but I'll give it as a takeaway because this stout that we're drinking, it is better. The flavors like kind of meld better if it's not like ice cold. So it's proper drinking is probably 50 or 52 degrees. Like I
close. I
said,
said
yeah.
53.
I know. Hey, you've been hanging around us
You
3
predicted
beers
it.
now.
You predicted his.
I mean, that's for
like
me.
10 degrees
That could be
Celsius,
like
50 degrees Fahrenheit is what you're saying.
Yes.
10 degrees Celsius.
And I
But,
should have, I guess, thrown this to both you and Luke. That, what is a tip that for the beer brewing trade as well, not just in the drinking of it. I'm going to exclude you from the brewing. You're the drinking part, Josh. But what would be a tip or a tool that you need to have if you're brewing the beer?
If you're brewing the beer, just keep it simple. I mean, you can get as involved and in-depth with this stuff as you want, but just buy a kit, a prefab kit, and just a prefab kit of beer with the ingredients. And normally it's going to be a syrup, you're going to use malt syrup instead of an all-grain recipe, which I think I sent you an all-grain recipe for
Yep.
for this, but just keep it simple. But you want a tip for drinking beer? Or
If you have one, if you can make me a better beer drinker, I want to hear it.
for me, it's 3 beers as hard as you can go. 3 beers.
Right? As far as I can get.
Between 5 and 7%. As fast as you prefer to drink.
Okay.
And then after that you alternate beer water and you can go the rest of the night.
In a nice place of equilibrium.
Yes. You get to the sweet spot and then you can stay there.
Yeah, that's definitely great tips. You mentioned the recipe, which will be on our blog, and that's kind of getting into secret time. There's a lot of specifics and science to that, and I don't really know that I can understand any of that. I'm more of a talking words sort of guy, so I want you guys to give me more of the science of what makes the recipe of a good beer festival.
Oh,
Beer festival.
Right,
Beer
okay.
festival.
lots of different beers to try.
Okay.
I would say that for sure.
I think the flow of the crowd flow, I think that makes a good festival. So, making sure that people have the way you move through the festival, that there is a way that you move, and maybe stacking up breweries to where you don't want to have the Funkatorium right beside somebody that where the beers don't mix.
Right.
So knowing what style of beers that these breweries, that's their main beers, you can kind of make a good flow. And then also the water station. You got to have a good water station, and you got to have porta-johns everywhere.
Good traffic flow into both
Traffic
places,
flow.
right?
And
Yeah.
I'm surprised Luke didn't mention the pretzel necklaces.
And pretzel necklaces.
Yeah.
I think that's a must-have. But what did we had? I think the last one we went to, we had the pretzel and beef jerky necklace.
Yeah.
Right. That's a good palate cleanser.
Yeah,
Or food trucks.
or food trucks.
It's the natural life.
got a voice
Palate
changing going on.
cleansers
If
for
you had some
your
food trucks at a beer festival and just all in one, you don't have to go anywhere. And a designated driver. Let's
yes.
add that.
Right. Well, so let's localize it a little bit more. What about some of our local Carolina craft beer tap room? You made it around to a few of those guys. What makes a good tap room here in the Carolinas?
Good selection.
Good selection.
Good stuff on tap, like not the same run-of-the-mill stuff all the time, rotating taps.
I think you got to have a variety of stuff because a lot of times you'll go to a place and it is just you look over there and it's hazy everything, and then they might have like one stout or I think you need to have a mix of things for everybody, and I think what a lot of breweries are now doing too is like with the brewery we just did with Mythic, they had a slushy sour. Having stuff like that for people who may not necessarily, are big time beer drinkers, you can order that and it's like having a slushy from the gas station. I mean, it's literally that good. So
The alligator ice.
yeah.
Right.
There you go. So just having a
icy.
variety of things, or even, you see some breweries that actually have the slushy machines back there with their sour beers in it. I think having something like that.
I would say a knowledgeable bartender is
That's-
good.
Yep.
Yeah.
And somebody that's a conversationalist too, that will like help you, like almost like take you on a journey or figure out what you want, because a lot of people just will sit back and just like, all right, what do you want to drink?
Yeah.
But they'll be, oh, what do you, I love the people like, what do you like to drink?
Right.
Oh, we've got this or we've got this. Oh, this one's a little dry. This one's a little fruity. What? I think that's an
Person who
awesome.
comes in like, I usually drink Bud Light, and they're like, well, let me.
steer
like
you
this
towards
probably.
something that they kind of recommend. So
have a Bud Light or a
Yeah.
natural light.
yeah,
Well, no, that most they don't. But I would also add to that too is a lot of these places are starting to have more music, and you're just not just your typical bar fly, if you will, sitting around drinking beer. But if you got music, good crowd, eclectic crowd, that's always fun too.
Yep.
We're going to take it into the low and slow barbecue showdown, guys. Some quick hitters now that you've had some taste here of JD's Smokehouse, and we've talked a little bit about barbecue and about beer. We're going to have the responses from you each. It's going to be Josh, Matt, Luke. Josh, Matt, Luke, as we go through this thing, so you folks can recognize their voice out there. Hey, can I get some more of that?
Yeah, that's why I popped it.
Sweet. So, not to interrupt Josh, Matt, Luke, but Josh, beginning with you, best Carolina barbecue style, Eastern or Western?
I'm a Western guy, man. I grew up here in Hickory. That's all I know. I don't, there was a time where I didn't like anybody from Eastern North Carolina, but once I
You didn't
went to
like
college-
anybody?
Yeah, seriously. Once I went to college, I was like, all right, I started to like, but I still gravitate toward Western North Carolina style. Yeah.
And are you talking about this
The sauce,
syrupy
but also
stuff?
like it's more of a chopped kind of stuff too, right? Because I do like a sandwich, put it on there, glob it with some sauce, and like I said, the side.
I guess I should
is,
throw
you know,
Lexington in there too, because it's kind of different.
Yeah.
Matt.
So I would probably say Eastern just because of the vinegar-based sauce, right? Correct. I mean that's the determining factor.
If that's what you want.
That's what I would think, anyways.
I'm going to go Eastern pulled barbecue.
Sweet. Best beer, Josh.
to drink what
Best
with barbecue
beer
or
is
in
porter,
general?
pilsner, ale, lager, or stout.
So no pale ales in there, no IPAs.
Yeah, he said ale.
Porter,
Yeah.
Okay,
pilsner,
pale ale.
ale,
You did
lager,
say
or
that.
stout.
I'm for the last couple of years I've been a hazy IPA guy, and that's still what I'll drink. If I had to not drink that, I'm still a Miller Lite guy, honestly too. I like a
Hazy
good Miller
Josh
Lite.
with the side of pilsner.
Yeah, right. I would say, I mean, I'd probably go for an IPA like most times. So I'll say IPA. I love all beer. I'm not really
That's right.
discriminatory.
Next beer.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think
Coffee stout for you.
I really
he
love coffee
does.
stouts.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You should have had us answer for each other. I think we.
We would probably
right.
answer a coffee stout, like a light one. You know what I mean? Like it's
That's
hovering
kind of
around.
contradictory, right? That's a
Well, like that's hovering around 5%.
okay.
Like Wilmington Brewing makes one that's top notch.
Breakfast stout.
The
yeah.
breakfast stout. I love a
Yeah.
good breakfast stout.
Okay. Next
Me too.
topic. If you're smoking or preparing a barbecue dish, gas, pellets, or charcoal.
Well, I'm probably not going to good answer to this one because all I know is a gas grill. So
That's your
although
answer.
I did smoke. My dad has an electric smoker, so
So
plug it in and go.
let me go back and say here. So gas, pellets, or charcoal.
I'll go gas. But again, I know that's a bad answer for this show, but
I would for me I would say pellets, but I don't cook with pellets. I mean, I don't have a smoker. I mean, I really want one someday. I've always thought, like, probably for the past 10 years, I'm like, I'm going to get into that someday. But I haven't.
You're into beer and I'm into smoking.
Yeah,
so maybe
let's
we can
work it out.
We gotta go into podcasting.
Yeah.
I'm going to say homemade charcoal.
Homemade charcoal.
Homemade.
Yes.
Nice.
I want to make my own.
You
'Cause I
want
love a
to,
good
or
process.
You do?
This guy will
Yeah.
make his own anything.
No, I have made my own charcoal.
and if you press it
so-
hard enough, you'll get diamonds or something.
Diamonds.
You know what they say? Like,
Okay, best state for beer.
oh, that's an easy question, man. North Carolina, North Kakalaki.
Second that, yeah.
Best state for beer. I'm going to say North Carolina so that I don't.
You don't have to say anything. There are no preconceived notions. I mean, you're entitled to your own opinion.
I'll-
It may
okay.
be the
Do
wrong
other
opinion,
states
but
make
I'm
beer,
not gonna
though? That's
hate
what I
you
wanna
for
know.
that
I'm gonna.
about barbecue or beer
I
or
do
food.
like California beer.
That's
I
not
do like
wrong
a lot of
answer.
California.
Me too.
You gotta probably think though. Beer was made here in North Carolina before it was in California, unless the Native Americans might have been making beer. I don't know.
It's made in Egypt. Really.
I mean, but I'm talking about for this new world, if you will.
Well, yeah, it was made here first. You're right.
Best state for barbecue.
Best steak.
State.
State.
Josh.
State.
That again is North Carolina.
Matt,
I'm going to say North Carolina as well.
Luke.
Yeah, I'm going to say North Carolina for that. Hands down, Eastern North Carolina.
Pork, beef, or chicken.
I'm gonna say, if it's done right, chicken.
Pork.
Chicken with a little like crispy edge on the side, like so it's you just like.
So fried chicken.
Well, not fried. If you had the brisket with the edge that's a little.
Oh yeah,
you
I've
know,
had a lot of that kind of chicken.
but moist in the middle.
Tough.
I'm going to say whole hog pork. Mm-hmm. I love the skin.
Bud Light, Coors Light, or Miller Light.
Miller Lite all day long. Quick story: when I was 2,
Well, no. This is the showdown. These are quick hitters.
You can't have a tangent.
Matt, on to you.
Miller Lite for sure. Miller Lite.
Coors Light, actually.
Coors Light.
Currs.
Coors. Barbecue sauce, better with or without?
With
With.
globs of it. With
With.
Sweet or spicy?
both sweet and tangy. Can you do that?
It wasn't an option, sweet or
Okay,
spicy.
sweet then, sweet.
Yeah, I'm going to say sweet too.
Hotter the better.
I want to take just a very quiet moment for everybody to collect themselves and enjoy this beer from everybody and the food, and maybe belch a time or two before we go back on the air with the final and most important question, the Low and Slow Barbecue Showdown. Is barbecue a verb or noun?
Oh, man. You know, again, it's definitely a noun. I don't, until you, not in North Carolina, it's like I had barbecue. I did not barbecue yesterday outside. Yeah, definitely. It's not
Noun?
a verb. It's a noun, yes.
Matt?
I'm going to say noun specifically for pork.
It's a verb. It's a.
You've never said,
It is a
guys, come over, I'm going to barbecue some
No.
steaks.
Barbecuing is a plethora of events that happen. It's not just
You've said it before. Have you said it?
what I'm going to barbecue.
Hey, guys, I'm going to barbecue some.
In my mind, barbecue is a collective of events. Yeah.
Barbecue.
It's a verb.
Again, you can't
is
go on
a
a
verb.
tangent, man.
Barbecue is a verb.
And that, my friends, is the lowdown from 3 Beers Down. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Oh, man.
Thanks for the food.
Thanks for having
Yeah,
us.
it was
You've
awesome.
been listening to the
Chigger
Low
and
and
JD's.
Slow Barbecue Show on the Mesh.tv network of podcasts. Be sure to visit us online at lowslowbbqshow.com. You'll get recipes and notes from today's episode. We'll have some details about all of these beers, as well as some links to JD's and a beer recipe if you can figure out how to use that or do something with it. You can also access other episodes of this podcast series. Look for the episodes featuring our backyard barbecuer friend, Jeff Osborne. There's an episode with Carolina Barbecue Festival founder Louis Donald. Check out our episode with Man Cave celebrity smoker John Setzler. Plus, if you subscribe to the Low and Slow Barbecue Podcast, we'll deliver every new episode directly to you. Special thanks again to you guys, 3 Beers Down.
Yeah,
Thank you,
Three Bears
sir.
Down
Thank
Pod on the Instagrams and the socials.
Yeah,
Check us
definitely.
out.
Tell everybody how to get in touch.
That's it. You can email us at Three
Yeah.
Beers Down admin or at
Admin,
admin 3
yeah.
Beers Down. But most people follow us on Instagram at 3 Beers Down Pod. Check us out.
With the number 3.
Follow
Numeral
them. They
3.
have in their 4th season, 71st, soon coming their 72nd
It's out now.
podcast.
Check it out now.
Right. About Mystic beer in the 71st
Mythic.
episode. Mythic. Right. Sweet on. Okay, so also thanks as well to show producer Andrew Moose.
Yes.
Moose, there are some leftovers for you in here. Thanks as well to the production
There's a
team
grit.
here
There's
at
one
the
grit left.
Mesh.tv network of podcast. Most especially, thank you for listening to the Low and Slow Barbecue Show. I'm Chigger Willard reminding you that if the best barbecue and for the best barbecue podcast, make it low and slow.
You've been listening to The Mesh, an online media network of shows and programs ranging from business to arts, sports to entertainment, music to community. All programs are available on the website as well as through iTunes and YouTube. Check us out online at themesh.tv. Discover other network shows and give us feedback on what you just heard.